Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tony Chen, CEO of the International Accounting Tax and Legal Consulting Group for Twin City, Vietnam. Today is my big pleasure to come back to you to share with you a very common topic, very sensitive topic about tax in the time of the year end. It's nice to see you here. Coming back the basic topic, we are talking together this year the corporate governance. In the title of the corporate governance, we have very specific working scope. And here we want to talk about how to run the procedures of the affiliate tax management, especially here the personal income tax for the foreigners working and living in Vietnam. It's very hot topic when the year end, the time of year end coming. And as usual, we try to share with you some specific conditions, special information about the hot topic for this coming today. We are talking about foreigners who is working and living in Vietnam. And as the Vietnamese person, they have to satisfy the living conditions in Vietnam currently. And one of their his or her responsibility for living in Vietnam legally is he or she has to pay the personal income tax as correct as possible. And their own ways, there's own way a lot of the basic mistakes, the misunderstanding coming from the foreigners. They do not understand exactly how to adopt the Vietnamese personal income tax as well in practice. And here, as foreigners working in Vietnam for the whole years, it's been down 12 months. 12 months within 12 months. They have the responsibility to do some related legal responsibilities about personal income tax. In fact, in order to make clear about how to identify, how to personalize the personal income tax in the other years, we need to know how many kind of taxpayers for the case of foreigners living and working in Vietnam. In general speaking, we have two main types of taxpayers of foreigners working in Vietnam. The first case is the resident taxpayers, and the second case is non-resident taxpayers. And absolutely, their conditions are different. Different totally. For the first case, for the first time, we are talking about a resident taxpayer. And the people who is living in Vietnam within 1 year, one fiscal year, okay, he or she need to check some basic conditions as I explained below to make sure that he or she will be the resident taxpayers or he or she will be non-resident taxpayer. In fact, in order to adopt the correct personal income tax policy as soon as possible in the area. Then we have three main conditions to convince the people to adopt and to pay the taxpayer, the resident taxpayer in Vietnam. They have three conditions here. The first thing, residing within Vietnam for 183 days or over. Okay, you live in here over 183 working days you will be resident taxpayers. Or otherwise, you are not living in Vietnam over 183 working days, but you have your house for rent in Vietnam and your renting times is over 183 days. In such a case, although you are not living in Vietnam over 183 days, but you will be the resident taxpayers, in fact. And the last conditions, you are not living in Vietnam over 183 days. You don't have any house or rent over 180 days, but you have some special cards, you have special specific legal documents such as a personal residential card or a temporary resident card. In such a case, you will be treated as resident taxpayers. And it's very clear to understand, okay, the natures of the resident taxpayers and non-resident taxpayers based on the three conditions I already explained to you. The people just adopt one of three conditions explains they will be the resident taxpayers. And in case they are the resident taxpayers, they have to do the tax finalization in the end of the year. Although they have to prepay the personal income tax and do some the periods are reporting right during the 12 months working in Vietnam. Furthermore, they need to do tax finalization in year-end coming, when the year-end coming. And this is the duty, the main duties for resident taxpayers when he or she living in Vietnam. In the contrast of the resident taxpayers, we have a non-resident taxpayers. In the case, the person who cannot satisfy all of the three conditions explained already, she or he will be non-resident taxpayers. And as a final result, he or she no need to do the tax finalization in when the year end coming. We got this? It's very clear for this. And you do understand about, okay, what kind of taxpayer you are yet currently, and it's good for you to adopt the correct Vietnamese personal income tax law as well. The next thing we will try to explain with you in case you are the resident taxpayer. It's very distinctive, and there are a lot of people they already get mistake about this. Firstly, I would like to tell you a case the resident taxpayers, he or she just have over true income sources. When he or she is working in Vietnam, in such a case, he or she has to do the safe tax finalization at the tax agencies when the year end coming. It's very clear, it's very distinctive working procedures. With the people, with the foreigner, just have all one income sources from the company in Vietnam. Secondly, for the case of residential foreigners, they have to check their status. They have one income sources or they have two income sources in and out of Vietnam. In such case, they have to declare the global incomes for the tax finalization. Finally, And the last one, okay. Some people living in some Pacific countries, for example, Japan, Europe, some countries in Europe or Southeast Asia, and some countries have avoid agreement with Vietnamese government. In certain case, they have a right to submit the declaration of disclaimers by the country tax. It convinces the taxpayers not to pay tax double. But it's not the it means that okay, the taxpayer need to do their submitting to the local tax office before using this rule, okay, for avoiding their double tax payment. In fact, they need to check the working procedure. They need to run the procedure of submitting the specific declaration for this case in order to avoid their double tax payment in Vietnam. And it's very clear for you in such a case when it's better for you to check about your status about involved in the personal income tax in year end, and you can check your status now. You are the resident taxpayers or you are non-resident taxpayers in order to finalize, to make your decision to do the tax finalization or not do the tax finalization, and you check okay, you have one or two incomes sources, okay, for using or adopting correct tax finalization forming. And in case you coming from the countries which have a taxable agreement with Vietnam, you need to check with your expertise how to submit the declaration disclaimer by the country tax to local tax office in order to reduce your tax payment in Vietnam, to reduce the risk of your double tax payment in fact. And these are something we want to talk to you today, and hopefully we believe there's some advantages for you when you do your personal income tax finalization in this sensitive timing today. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.